Welcome back, my celebration pros. I'm so excited. We have Nora Sheils on today, and she is going to be talking to us about automations. Now, I know a lot of us in our business, when we either are starting out or sometimes we find ourselves in year 5, we're still doing the same things that like cavemen did, like writing things down or, saving Word documents or whatever it is. And we're not using the technology that's in front of us. So Nora is here to walk us through, some efficient ways to really run our business. But before we get into all of that, Nora, if you could give us some insight into who you are, what your business is, and how, just your story. What does that look like?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on here. It's so great connecting with you and everyone that is going to be listening later. My name is Nora. I live in Portland, Oregon. I am married with 2 boys. I have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh, you're a boy mom
Um,
too.
yeah, I
Yay.
am. I love having boys so much. I always thought I wanted a girl, but boys are really fun and they love their too. Um, but so I got my start in the wedding industry back in 2002 when the world was very different than it is today, especially when it comes to technology and social media and like all of the things. But I started as a wedding planner. I still am a part of the company. It's called Bridal Bliss. Check it out on Instagram, Bridal Bliss NW, if you're interested. But it's a luxury planning firm based in the Pacific Northwest. And I worked as a planner for many, many years. And a lot of it was manual for a long time and kind of doing the same processes over and over again. And I was sharing drinks with my employee back then, who is now my sister-in-law. We married brothers.
Oh, wow.
And
I love
we
it.
were complaining to each other just about how we felt like we were babysitting our clients and having to remind them to do the same things. And it just felt like there had to be a better way than what we were doing. So we set out to find some software that already existed. And everything we tried just didn't really quite understand the way the wedding industry works. We are different in that there are 3 players. So there's the event planner, there's the couple, and there are all of the vendors. So we kind of compare it to construction a lot, where the planners are like the general contractors and they've got their clients and then all of the vendors. So if all 3 parties can't communicate seamlessly, things get missed and there are frustrations. So all of these other platforms were between vendor and client, and they all left out the planner. So that's kind of where our idea for Rock Paper Coin came to be. So we are a software platform made specifically for the wedding and events industry. We offer kind of the whole onboarding process of new clients. So you have a new client that's ready to book. You hop on Rock Paper Coin, you send them a proposal, a contract, an invoice. You can share documents with them. We have all kinds of automated reminders set up. So as different due dates come up on invoices, that client's going to receive a notification. So that's like a touch of our functionality. We have kind of a whole suite of features, but at the heart of it are contracts and invoices to make everyone's lives easier.
I love that. I think that, when you start a business, contracts are not the first thing you think of, but it's the
Totally.
first thing you
They're,
need.
they're not
Right?
sexy at all, but
No, get
like,
the
I mean,
legalities out of the way so that you can do the sexy stuff and not have to worry.
I
So
know.
I
And it's
love
so
that.
much easier now than it was before. Like before, you had to hire an attorney that would write everything up from you from scratch. But now there are all these templates and event industry specific legal teams that you can reach out to. Like for the planning company, they actually just completely revamped their contracts. They got a template and then they went to a local attorney to make sure everything
The review, right?
right, review, because every state has different laws. So you want to make sure that your template works with that. But yeah, it's not sexy, but it is one of the first things that you need. And during COVID, especially, it was very clear who had a solid contract and who didn't. So I think it saved a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a valuable resource that you're offering. And I love that because you said this, and I haven't heard anyone say it recently, but I remember thinking it when I was a planner, which is we feel like we're babysitting our clients and having to send them constant reminders. Like I remember like I've sent her 10 emails and or him or her, and I've gotten no response, or they just keep saying that they're going to get to it, they're going to get to it, and now we're like 3 days before the wedding and I still don't have XYZ. And so
Right.
to have, I think too, a lot of times when we have these resources in place, it also gives our businesses credibility that we're organized, we know what we're doing, we're on top of it. And it sets that expectation to the client, like, okay, they're not messing around, I'm going to need to turn things in. Or when everything just seems like a little willy-nilly kind of hodgepodge together.
Yeah. And
they don't feel as that urgency.
Totally. And that's kind of why the onboarding experience is so important. And I think a lot of vendors don't really give it enough credit because it's during that pretty short time frame where it's your client's first interactions with you and your company and how you present documents or just information kind of lays the groundwork for your relationship. So if it is easy from the beginning, like they're ready to book, they can do it on their phone, pay really easy or get review documents, they're instantly going to trust you. So they're like, this vendor has their stuff together. And I'm excited to work with them. It's been easy from the start, so I can't wait for the next interaction, that type of experience. And that's how you want your clients to feel, because they're not going to micromanage you if they trust you, especially from the beginning.
Absolutely. Something else too. Well, I like that you said that one time this was back when I had started planning. So this is like 2015. We didn't have as much of that like tech support as we do now. And I remember someone saying, we chose you because you were the only one who gave us something to walk away with. I was the only planner after like 5 interviews that actually like gave them something tangible. And I think now what that looks like is walking your client through, this is what the process looks like with me. This is what we've set up. And then that's like how you get ability in the modern world.
Right. And now most people seem like they're doing their consults through Zoom. It's even easier to just do a screen share and say, this is what one of our timelines look like. This is what a budget looks like, it's tangible in one way. But it's that same like experience and the feeling of a high level of service from the beginning.
I love that. And Zoom is Zoom or whatever, Google Meet,
whatever it is.
You use.
Yeah.
Is so important to us here. Like I was saying before we got on, a lot of our listeners are from the Southeast. So we have a lot of those destination couples. They're not from here. And so having that access. But going back to the topic of automation, I also think that, okay, so for example, I'm subscribed to a few like newsletters or like to a few companies, right? And I know, and I'm excited. Okay. For like Hera, which a lot of our listeners know what that is, right? We get like 3 emails a day giving us like media publications. But I know like if I were to skip, like if the middle of the day didn't come through, I'd be like, oh, what's wrong? Like they didn't send me 3
I haven't
today.
heard from
That's
them in a
weird,
while.
right? Not that I'm opening all of them, but that consistency, I think, builds trust. Because when there is something that comes up and there's a subject line from someone I know and that I'm seeing constantly that applies to what I'm looking for, I open it. So I think also that consistency of the way that you're automating those reminders and things, it's expected.
Totally. And couples today, like their life revolves around technology. Like they have grown up in a world where they've always had internet, they've always had social media, they've always had whatever they want at their fingertips. And part of that is automation. So a lot of wedding and event pros are kind of scared of automation because they're in maybe like a high touch vendor category. And so they're like, well, I don't want to take away that like personal experience. Well, you don't have to automate everything. Like, I actually don't recommend that you do, but there are certain things where your couples, they're expecting it. They get automated bills from their like electricity company. And, you know, if there something is due at the library, they're going to get an automated reminder. And that is like actually appreciated by most people, where you know, it's again, it's building trust, it's making their lives easier as long as the automated, whatever is being automated is made easy for them. So if
Mhm.
it's a nudge to do something, there has to be a link in there, or some instruction on how to take care of it, not just a, hey, this is due tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Um, no, it really is helpful. Can you give us like a walkthrough example of, say I'm a client, what does it look like before, during, like, can you just kind of give us a little spiel of what the process looks like, that you would recommend or that maybe would be seen through using rock, paper, coin?
Yeah, so I think it's different for every vendor category. We're for all types of wedding pros, not anything specific. So different vendors use it differently, but I'll give you an example for like a planner. So what typically would happen is a client would contact me, the planner. I would set up a consultation. Once they decide to book, I would hop on rock, paper, coin, and then I would already have preset templates in my account. So all I have to do is log in, plug in my client's name and email address, fill in my templates as I've already like assigned myself to do. I could also upload a document if it's like a custom contract or something.
Mhm.
And so I go through this whole workflow where I create a proposal, a contract, an invoice. On the invoice, I can have as many payment due dates as needed. Some people will split up their payment into like 20 different dates and 20 different amounts. And
Like
like that is
100 bucks
all
a week.
possible if you want to do that, which is fine. So I would customize that and then send it. And then what happens is my client's going to get an email with like all of these things put in a pretty little package where they just click one link and they're prompted to sign and pay. They don't have to sign up for anything. They certainly can if they want to. And it's essentially like a resource for them where they have all of their documents and all in one place. But as a vendor, I would use rock, paper, coin for that onboarding experience, but also a lot of people use it as their like source of truth. So all of their final documents, they'll upload to their client's account and they can share it with other vendors. So like final diagram, final timeline, final seating assignments, whatever it is, just because, you know, so many emails get tossed back and forth and there are last minute updates. So if it can all be in one place, vendors really appreciate that. And one other thing about us is we have some functionality that no other platform does, in that my client that's hired me as their planner, they can actually log on to their account on rock, paper, coin, their client account, and give me, their planner, permissions to act on their behalf. So let's say you are a photographer and you are ready to book my client. You would go on your own rock, paper, coin account, send my client their paperwork, and then I would get a notification as their planner. So since they've given me permissions, I can actually go in and sign on their behalf and pay the invoice using the payment methods they've already set up on there, and just get it done. And there are no legal implications on the side of the planner. It's all between the client and the vendor. I'm
Mhm.
just like the middle person that's making it happen. So a lot of clients will just sign up, give their planner permissions, and then not do anything. They get a notification anytime anything happens. And then the planners are thrilled because they can just get it done immediately. And the vendors are
Mhm.
thrilled because they get booked instantly. So it's kind of a win-win-win.
Yeah. I mean, as a planner, how often did I hear someone,
Can you just do it for me?
no, either, yeah, can you do it? Or it was vendors saying, we sent it two
I
weeks
know.
ago and we still haven't heard anything. And I'm like, they're booking you. I'll follow
I
up again,
know.
and so what a unique way to
Yeah.
kind of skirt around
We
that for the
we
client.
also do have the functionality where you can see if someone has opened your contract or looked at your invoice. So there's never the, oh, I didn't get it. You're like, well, actually you did. And you opened it at 3:47. So
How funny. Yeah, I used a CRM platform and it was like viewed.
yeah,
I'm like, no.
you did
Just gave your
it.
mom your password. It's right there. But yeah, no, I love that. And then so that's great for onboarding and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions or maybe something coming up for Rock Paper Coin, something that might be complementary to what you do, that you might suggest in regards to automating business?
Yes, I know that automation can be really daunting, especially if you've never done it before. So I think the easiest way to get your foot in the door, and once you try something and it works really well, you're kind of inspired to try the next thing. So if you're just starting out and you're kind of nervous about it, the first thing I would automate is your like calendar and scheduling. So, we've all been there where we're trying to find a time that works for everybody. And I email and I say, hey, how does 4 o'clock on Thursday work? And you respond and say, oh, I'm busy. How about 2 o'clock on Friday? And there's just this whole back and forth that's like so annoying for both sides. And it's a
Yeah.
terrible way to start a relationship. So instead, you can go on a platform like Calendly is a great one that's pretty widely used. I actually really like one. It's called Cloud HQ. It's a plugin for Gmail. So it just syncs with your email and you can just click a button and add a link. But what happens when you get on a platform like that is you sync up your calendars with it, and it provides you with a custom link. And so instead, in my interaction, I would say, I can't wait to meet you. Click this link to choose a convenient time. So they're going to click the link, and all the times that pop up for them to book are times that I'm available. I've already set it on the back end. So now they click the link, put in their information, and it's booked. I'll get a notification. It goes on my calendar. And then they also get an automated reminder before the actual meeting. So you don't have to worry about confirming meetings anymore. It automatically does it for you. Really, really easy to set up. You can do it in minutes. I prefer Cloud HQ because I have multiple calendars. I have like a personal calendar and two different work calendars. And it's free to sync up multiple calendars on there. And I love free. And it works really well. So now when I send out my link, I know not only are these times not going to conflict with any of my work meetings, but I'm also not going to miss my son's baseball game or whatever I have scheduled on my personal calendar as well. So those are two game changers. It will instantly make a difference in your life. You seem so much more professional to people when they're trying to book an appointment. And it's just going to save you time. And that's kind of what the goal of automation is in general, is to just save you time, make you look more professional. And there's less room for error with lots of these platforms. Like instead of me going in and putting the date in my calendar and maybe, not paying attention or doing it late at night and I don't put it at the right time or the right time zone, I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's automatically done for me by robots.
Oh yeah, that's always fun when you set your timer for like PM instead of AM, and then it goes in the middle of the night and you're
Totally
like,
done that.
like, oh no, not only am I awake at 1 a.m., I also missed what I needed to do at 1
Oh
p.m. So
no.
yeah.
But you know what I had a problem with was time zones. I don't know
Oh
why
yeah.
doing math like that. I don't know why I screwed it up so often, but there is a setting in your Google Calendar where you can see different time zones on the left-hand side of your screen. So as I'm plugging something in, I can be like, okay, it's 1 o'clock my time in the East
Oh, I
Coast,
need to do
whatever it
that.
is. So it's just like a setting on your calendar, and it's like sadly made a difference.
Yeah. Well, it's true. So, being that it's the end of March, yesterday we just closed out our quarter 2 life panel that we do quarterly. The first one I did though in March, I didn't put ET for Eastern time on anything.
Oh
And I
yeah.
invited, like, our speakers were from across the country and they're
Oh
like,
no.
I'm in totally, but what time is this at? And I was like, oh yeah, not everybody, is on the East Coast. So it's definitely been a lesson. So I'll have to look for that on my Google Calendar.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, I use
Totally.
Calendly for those listening. Nora
Yeah.
had to go through my Calendly link to book this. And like she's saying, like tomorrow, I'm going to be unavailable all day and there's no way for you to book me that day via my link. So, it's really
So
helpful.
great.
You're not going to double book. You're not going to be like, oh, I missed this meeting, because it's all right there.
Right. And you can set notifications like desktop notifications or whatever too. So, and you can customize how often people are reminded. Like I have, this woman I work with every once in a while, and every time I set a meeting with her, I get like texts, I get emails. There,
Yeah.
like there's literally no way I could miss an appointment with her with the number of
Yeah.
notifications. So that can all be customized. So it's not like over the top, but it's also something.
We appreciate reminders as much as they're
We
like,
do.
you're like, yes, I get it. I get it. How many times have you like turned a reminder off and then like not showed up? You're like, oh my
I
gosh.
know. I know.
Yeah. So reminders. And what's cool too is you can do text now. A lot of the apps are offering you to do reminders via
Yeah.
text, which is great.
Yeah. I love that.
Very
I
cool.
love it. Um, so I have like a million to share with you. So
Yeah.
I can keep going if you want me to.
Let's do like two more and then we'll go into
Okay.
some fun Q&A with you to get to know you better.
Okay, let's see. So I think a good one. So there's two. One is more business focused and one is more kind of home personal.
We're
So
here for all of
okay,
it.
so Zapier is a platform that basically you set a trigger and then an event happens every time there's an event that triggers another action, and
Mhm.
it's mostly focused on business apps or business websites even. So like your Gmail, your Asana or Trello or Slack or something. So maybe every time you get an email from a certain person, you can set Zapier up so something happens in your Trello, your so your team is notified or something like that. So it can be really, really simple, or it can be very complicated. So the way my planning company uses it is and this might not be a popular opinion, but this is just how we do it. We personally respond to every inquiry instead of having an automated response that goes out, just because we're pretty luxury. It's a high touch vendor category, and that's been important to us. So
Sure.
what we used to do is we'd get an inquiry, an email would come in, my team would like copy and paste into a Google spreadsheet, ping the appropriate person, and then it's just tedious and time
Right.
consuming. So we set up Zapier and actually hired somebody to set it up because I didn't want to screw it up, and I didn't want to learn it either. So there are a lot of people that can set this up for you. So now what happens is when we get an inquiry, it auto populates into a spreadsheet, a Google Drive spreadsheet,
Mhm.
and then it will automatically email the appropriate person depending on the location of the inquiry. So now all that time copying and pasting, which may just have been a couple minutes a day, well, that adds up pretty quickly. And so it's all done for us. Nobody's wasting their time. And it's just like a teeny tiny change that's made a big difference.
Mhm.
And Zapier can be set up where like if you get an inquiry and it includes like this field being filled out a certain way, then this happens. And if it's filled out a different way, then this happens. And like I said, it can get super complicated, but at the heart of it, there's like a trigger and event. And so Zapier will just be like a middle person that's talking to all of your different platforms for you.
Yeah, I've seen it used like when somebody inquires, you can do a Zap where it's like somebody sent an inquiry through your website, and Zap will go ahead and drop it into a spreadsheet for you. So you're not having to go in and put in clients, phone number, address, all the things, venue, date, all the things. Zap does it for you. And like, how much time does that save? It's crazy. It actually came to mind. This would have been really helpful at my previous corporate job, because we had an action, and not to take away, positions by any means. She would still be very much needed, but it would have made her job so much more efficient to have Zaps like that. And to be able to focus on other projects that we were never able to get to,
Yeah, totally. So the like more home personal version of that is called If This Then That. And
Okay.
the difference is you just get one trigger and one action. Whereas with Zapier, you can have multiple steps, conditions, delays, all of that things. So If This Then That, it has like all of the different home apps. So like Ring, Alexa, all of those. There's one business coach that I talked to that she uses If This Then That to automatically add an event to her calendar if there are like thunderstorms in her area that are forecasted. So when she gets up in the morning, like she knows that what to wear or whatever. So just like so
I
simple.
love, well, like, I mean, I was like in the dark when we started. For those watching YouTube, that. Because I had a big storm, like we have no idea when these storms come through, and I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm like, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. if it's pouring rain. So it'd be great to have an if this, then that, like
Yeah,
if it's storming, turn
totally.
off my alarm. Thank you.
Yeah. Another gal I know has If This Then That turn on her Alexa every time it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. So she's like, okay, it's the weekend. I'm done.
Yes, that's fun.
Or like it can turn your thermostat down at a certain time and then also pull down your blinds. Or, obviously
Yeah.
you have to have smart home features figured out, but like it can make different things talk to each other where normally they couldn't. So those are great automations.
And there's so
Another,
many automations that we do use. So it reminds me of like when you can put a timer on your coffee pot. So when you wake
yeah,
up, your coffee's made. Like
same
automations are not
idea.
new to us. So those of you that are listening that are like, "Ooh, I don't know," it's like you actually do use quite a few automations in your life to make things easier. It's that convenience,
Yeah,
and we're just pulling it into
yeah.
business and a little bit more techy, and that's okay.
I think a really great one is a password manager. I love 1Password. That's the one myself and my
Mhm.
team use, but it's exactly what it sounds like, 1Password. So I have one master password that I have to remember. And then from there, every time I log on to a new site or one that's not saved into my system, it'll prompt me to save it. Or if it's a new subscription, it'll give me like, crazy complicated passwords that it'll just save. So it's all secure. It's all stored in there. Every time I go to a website and I need to log in, it'll automatically pop in my username and my password. If I've turned my computer off or whatever, it'll prompt me to put in my master password just to
Mhm.
activate it. But it's super secure. Everything is saved on there. I just have to remember the 1Password. It has an app, which is nice. So I can access all my passwords on my phone. And you can save credit card numbers too. So like a year ago, my wallet was stolen and it was such a bummer, but I could hop on my phone and I still had all my information and I could easily, turn my credit cards off and answer security questions and things like that. So just like little savings. But like how many times have you forgotten a password and you're like, oh, I
Oh
have to
yeah.
reset it and it's just so annoying.
And then
So
you're on the phone with customer service
I
because
I
you can't
know.
remember anything. Yeah. My husband recently wrote down like 40 of his passwords in a book. Like,
Oh my
again, going
God.
back, like, what did we do as cavemen, right? We were like etching on the walls our passwords. And,
Totally.
I'm watching him and I'm like, this is fine, but there's a better way. And
Yeah.
clearly there is. I'll have to
No,
share that with him.
my dad has a note on his phone with all of his passwords
Yeah.
and no like password, like number password to get into his phone. I'm like, Dad, you're like
No,
giving somebody your whole life right here. And it would
no,
be
that's not
so
good.
easy to delete
Yeah.
that note and just like lose everything.
Yeah.
So, and just security is so important now. Like, you have to have multi-factor authentication, you have to have all these things. And so keeping a Word document or something is not the best way to go about it. And
Yeah.
it's honestly just making your life harder.
Yeah, it's too easy for people to steal information these days.
Totally.
Well, I think those were great suggestions. I love that you say first thing, automate your schedule. It's like
Yeah.
I think it's for every 10 minutes that you plan, you save 2 hours. So just like planning out your month is
Yeah.
like it through and through automating your schedule, it's going to save you so much time.
Right.
So Nora, thank you so much for those. Those are great.
Yeah, of course. And I am happy. I have a whole automation cheat sheet. So if
Cool.
anyone is interested, just shoot me over an email and I will send that to you. It's just Nora, Nora at rockpapercoin.com.
Awesome. I will definitely put that in the show notes as well as all these tips and tricks. So I've got some Q&A for you.
Okay, great.
So I ask everybody these questions. The first one is, I love to hear what you're either listening to, if you're more on the podcast side, or reading, if you read books, or if there's like somebody told me that they're like listening to like all the Sam Smith album, like whatever
Yeah.
you're into. Because I think it's important for those that are listening to see where you're pulling your inspiration from.
Yeah. Okay. So I have to look it up because I just started this new podcast that a friend told me about. It's called Smartless.
Okay.
And have you heard of it? It's like
Uh-uh.
Will Arnett. It's gosh, now I'm gonna forget all of their names, but one of the guys from Will and Grace, and then the main guy from Ozark,
Okay. Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Jason Bateman.
Yes.
And it's three of them interviewing all of these different people. So like some of them are comedians, some of them are athletes. I just listened to the one with Duran Duran the other night. We just went to the concert, so it was kind of interesting to listen to. But they're just like so funny, but they're also like really digging in and learning about these people that they're interviewing. So it's just kind of like you don't have to think. It's great for runs. That's what
Yeah,
I
a nice
listen to
little
it.
guilty pleasure. That sounds like a fun one though.
Yeah, so that's what I'm listening to. And then what I'm reading right now, I hope I'm remembering it right, but like oh gosh.
I'm the worst at book titles, so
I know. What is it? You know what? I'm gonna look it up because I have to tell you
okay.
it's so good. It's overdue at the library, so I know I have an automated notice that's in my deleted files.
I love it. Funny.
Oh,
We're starting my accountability partner and I, we're starting Profit First.
that's a great book.
I've heard it's amazing, so I'm excited to start it.
Okay, so I have so little free time that I actually only listen to podcasts for my business tips and tricks. I
Yeah.
save reading for like things that are enjoyable,
Yeah,
quote
good for
unquote,
you.
because sometimes business books just like make my brain
I have
explode.
to listen to them. I can't read them.
Totally.
Maybe out.
Okay, so I love reading at night. It helps me fall asleep, or if I'm on vacation or something, and I have to have like a book. I have to be holding a book and not like on a iPad or something. So I'm reading. It's called Small Great Things right now, and it's this story about a Black woman who was a labor and delivery nurse. And there was this big issue that happened with this like white supremacist and his baby, and I'm like kind of just starting it, so it's their whole story. So it's really interesting. I'm into it.
I'm already like intrigued to know what happened.
I know I'll report back, but so
you
far
get
so
into
good.
these like touchy situations, and it's like there's so many ways that story could go.
Totally. So
Small great things. Awesome.
yeah.
I like to put all these like, you never know who's listening, who's like,
I will tell you my like all-time favorite book. It's called
Yeah.
The Nightingale.
Okay.
And it's historical fiction. And I like stopped reading for a really long time. I would just like scroll Instagram at night. And then I started getting mad at myself for doing that. So like a couple years ago, I was like, I'm going to read every night. And that was the first book that I read, kind of getting back into it. I could not put it down. I like sobbed at the end. It's the best story. It's fiction, but it's based on history. So if you need a good book, it's kind of heavy, but it's really
love
good.
it. Well, maybe I'll grab that one when I'm done. Like I said, when I read, I fall asleep. So I've been reading Jenna Kutcher's How Are You Really for like,
oh, is that good? I heard about
like
that.
8 months now. It is very good. I fall asleep when I read, and I want to read her book. I don't want to listen to it. I really want to read it. So I'm getting there. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like,
it's mocking you.
I'm like more than halfway through. I'm getting there. I've been talking about that for like months, so everyone listening
So
is like
funny.
laughing at me.
Okay, next time
Um,
we talk, I'm going to ask you if you got through
Nightingale will be
it.
next on my list. Okay, so in 1 year, I do hope to meet you in person. So hopefully, we'll be together in 1 year. If we are popping a bottle of champagne together, what would we be celebrating either in your business or your life?
Oh my gosh, what would we be celebrating? So at Rock Paper Coin, we have had to raise some money. We've worked with VCs and investors, and we are hoping to be fully profitable soon. So we don't have to keep raising money. So I hope in a year that we are totally self-sufficient and to profitability.
Amazing. I love that. Definitely something to cheers to. It's always, building businesses. Like everyone
For
that's listening,
sure.
they know it's not easy. We're all here
I
like
know.
making it happen. So good for you
Well,
guys.
and if it doesn't happen, we can still drink champagne because
We,
there's always something to celebrate, right?
I was just asked today, they're like, do you play tennis? I'm like, no, 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 this is a champagne
I
tournament.
did notice it's really
Yeah,
cute.
it's on Amazon. It's like $20. It's great.
I love it.
um, and then the last question, of course, Nora, where can everyone find you? Do you have anything coming up next?
Yeah. Okay. So email me anytime. I'm always happy to help, whether it's automation related or not. I'm at nora@rockpapercoin.com. Shoot me over an email if you want to try RPC. I'll give you a code for a free year on the platform and set
Okay.
you all up. Also, we're on Instagram, so at Rock Paper Coin. Otherwise, I think the next conference I'm going to be at is David Tutera's experience and then Wedding MBA right after that. So if you're at either of those, come say hi. I'd love to meet you.
Amazing. I love that. And can I just ask you where you got the name Rock Paper Coin? Because it is like
Oh,
amazing.
okay. So we struggled with the name. Elizabeth and we actually just recently found a scratch paper where we had written down a bunch of names, and we originally wanted paper coin. And I don't know why, but we searched it like a million times on GoDaddy. Like we thought someone was going to take it or something. But somebody from GoDaddy bought it because they could see that we kept looking at it. They bought it and they tried to sell it to us for like an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
So we like started from scratch, and we had brought it down to two names. She liked one, I liked the other. So we were like, okay, let's rock, paper, scissors. And we were like, okay, rock, paper. And she accidentally said coin afterwards. And we both like stopped and looked at each other and we're like, it's perfect. So rock is for a wedding ring, paper is for a contract, and coin is for an invoice.
That's amazing. I have, yeah, like grabbed my arm. I have goosebumps. That's such a great
I
story. I'm
love
so
it.
glad I asked.
I know.
So
And
much
it's kind of
fun.
like generic enough where we have members, we have like interior designers and
Yeah.
bookkeepers and accountants. So it's like not so wedding or event specific that it's a little more generic.
Yeah. I mean, that was the idea around Celebration Pros, that it could
Yeah.
be anybody in business. But of course, our roots will always be with the weddings here. So, well, Nora, this was
I
so
love
much
it.
fun. I can't thank you enough for coming on. It's been great connecting with you. And I know we'll see more of you soon.
Yeah. You too. Thanks for your time. Great to see you.